You brought me back part of a fighter jet, which is awesome. Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, I mean, how many more?
If I make the plane go on a diet,
throw in the back seat. I get nervous when something seems to come out right the first time.
I have done that because I can't help myself. I'm a big kid. I flipped the fuselage upside down and I went and stuck one bolt through one of the gear legs just to see what it would look like. And now the RV-15 has come out, and it's like, you have got to be kidding me. They have like little cutaway views that shows exactly what orientation of freaking nut plate's supposed to go. It's the grown boy version of, you know, girls and their Barbie dolls and accessorizing.
Yeah, what unbelievable $500 was the upcharge for pre-built fuel tanks in the RV-15s. That's crazy. I might just buy some and just force them to fit on my RV-8.
Duct tape.
Welcome back to We Are Not Experts, the show where building an airplane mostly means measuring the same thing 12 times and calling it progress. Tonight, one of your hosts returns from an international mission involving loud engines and confusing technology. The other survives the busiest week of the year by making a healthy adult beverage look medically questionable. There's fresh hardware, fresh opinions, and a fresh reminder that some people get color instructions and some people get character development. Episode 16 starts now.
There you go. That's how you get it started.
Welcome back. This is episode 16. We Are Not Experts in Airplane Building podcast. I'm Chris.
And I'm Tim.
And we are not experts. Not yet.
No.
We're trying.
Not even close.
Not even close. Today is Sunday, February the 1st, 2026, the year of our Lord. And Tim and I are coming to you from our home studios in East Texas. And it's been January 9th was our last record date, as some people say. But you've been traveling the globe. And
I'm very jet lagged already.
Yeah, defending democracy, mechanically speaking. And I've been busy doing the kind of stuff that, my business is on the accounting side. And this is actually the busiest time and literally the busiest week or weekend of the year for me because of particular filing deadline. But that is basically done. The deadline's tomorrow because the 31st fell on a weekend, but I got a lot done. So I'm enjoying a tasty,
very healthy size adult beverage.
Yeah, well, I was saying before we went on the air that I haven't had really, I think that maybe since last April I've had maybe 3 beers. I've had one bourbon. This is not a bourbon. This is a Normand whiskey from Normandy, France. It's very delicious, but this is maybe a generous portion, but it is really just a sliver of what I might have consumed over that period of time had I, been behaving normally and having, 1 or 2 a week. So it all there's not very much, to be honest. Plus there's a lot of ice.
It evens out.
Yeah.
There you go. It's all good.
Mm-hmm.
I would have joined you with something similar, but I'm pretty sure if I do that right now, I will just pass out on air.
Oh, yeah,
with
you
everybody.
are jet laggy lagged.
I am fighting it. I'm 2 days into it, and I'm still not quite right.
You were pretty. I mean, you seemed pretty game for 8. You didn't even blink when I said when I suggested 8 o'clock for recording this evening. It didn't occur to me that.
Well, yeah, but you asked that much earlier in the day when I was a lot more. I was a lot more awake.
Yeah.
Anything seemed possible then.
Yeah. So for those of you who are listening, which is everybody except for me, Tim is listening to me. You just came back from a long trip, a couple of trips that were one long trip, couple of destinations. You brought me back part of a fighter jet, which is awesome. Tim swung by my house early today to give me a piece of American aviation history, which was cool. Did you get any work done afterwards, like aviation airplane related?
You mean on my airplane?
Yeah.
This morning?
Mm-hmm.
I drilled 2 holes.
Oh,
and
you
I 3D
did?
printed something.
You did?
That's about
okay.
it.
You drilled two holes and you 3D printed. So explain for the audience, because I don't want to get it wrong. What is it that you brought me back from the Far East?
I brought you back a scrap access panel from a A10 Warthog engine.
It's fitting. I was looking at the comments, and what's his name? I think his name is Greg, and he comments frequently. But on one of our last Greg Cummings, I think, one of our last podcasts, his suggestion was for call signs for us. Yours was access panel. Mine was left flap.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that. Like,
it doesn't have any panache.
yeah. But you know what just occurred to me today? You know this much better than I would, but it seems to me like when I've gone to air shows and looking at military aircraft, oftentimes, and maybe it's just with demo teams, but oftentimes you'll see like a crew chief or a maintainer's name on the side of the airplane.
Yep.
We could have alter egos that are the maintainers that could be scripted on the side. Access panel, left flap. And another thing that I was thinking about is the data plate. Like when we finish building the airplane, we are the builders of record, and mine's going to be Christopher Gilbertson. But if I were to form an LLC that was like left flap arrow or something like that, we can keep it alive.
You can definitely keep it alive, although I feel like if you try and create an LLC for left flap arrow, it's going to take you months and months to get it completed.
It's pretty quick. I mean, have you formed a company here in Texas?
I haven't. My ex did.
Yeah. For guys like you and me,
it was pretty easy.
It is a pretty simple, painless, and very free process because we are veterans, and Texas is a big fan of those guys. So yeah, it's pretty simple. And if it's 100% veteran owned, I don't think that I even paid a filing fee. So
I heard it is a good thing to do with an airplane.
Yeah.
Legal purposes and all.
Yeah. I actually did some work on the airplane after you left. I did a lot of work, like work that doesn't cost me money, but I still found a little bit of time, and I got some work done. But we'll talk more about that later. Why don't you fill us in on your trip, what that was about, and the exciting things that you saw and did?
Oh, well, I went to Kadena Air Force Base in Okinawa. That was the main goal of the trip, and just had to update a camera system in the test cell there. The old one we had installed was one, out of date, which camera systems are out of date within days of installing them.
Yeah.
But two, anytime you went to Afterburner, the cameras we installed previously would just shake violently. Mm-hmm. So they were kind of useless when they were in full burner. So we went and swapped it out with a new system. I hate cameras. It's not what we normally do. That's very much an IT guy's job, and I hate doing all of that stuff because I am not an IT guy. I don't know how to deal with the confusing IP addresses when they change and all sorts of other stuff. But we got it done, got them installed, and then managed to get a full burner run in to verify that the new ones are rock solid, and they are. And I think I posted a video showing some of that.
The diamonds.
Yeah, always cool. I had some pictures. I don't have them now, but they had they were doing a run for other people on base that never see engine runs. Mm-hmm. So they were taking them out into the cell one at a time and letting them stand there for the burner run, and they would turn the lights off and go to full burner with them standing next to it. That's pretty cool. So yeah, that was the bulk of the trip, and then I took a short hop over to Korea because I have a new position in my company. I'm now the Foreign Military Service Field Service Rep Manager, so we're going to start doing the same thing for our ally nations that we've been doing for the U.S. Air Force for a while with their engine test cells. So I am now starting to make the rounds to some of these other places that need stuff done. So this was my first visit to the Korean Air Force bases, 2 of them, to go see some mods that I have to go do over there and some installations we got coming up. That lasted a few days, and that was freezing cold. Yeah. It is so cold in Korea right now. But yeah, it was a good time.
You're
came home.
You're now a diplomat.
I don't know about all that. Yeah. I've been to a few different foreign military bases now: Jordan, Egypt, Korea. I definitely take Korea over some of the other ones. Some places I have no desire to go again.
Yeah.
It's always unnerving, too, when you have to hand over your passport at the gate when you go on base, and you're feeling very vulnerable at that moment because now you're on a foreign military base with no U.S. documentation whatsoever. But it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
You get over it. What's the worst they can do? You just spend a night in a Turkish jail or something.
Oh,
So,
big deal. Yeah. Well, I know before you left, you said that I had better be putting out some content because you're not going to be able to work on your airplane. You're going to need to have some content to watch. And I did get a video out pretty quickly after you left, and then it really kind of dried up. But thankfully, luckily for
I did watch it.
Yeah, for both of us, some of the other newer content providers were pretty busy.
Oh yeah.
So there was content to be consumed for sure. We'll get into that a little bit later. But I think that even though both of us, our build activity over the past 2-3 weeks really was truncated by travel and work commitments, some work was done, and the experimental news desk did actually dispatch reporters once again to keep up with what's going on. So
Yeah, I'm disappointed. I requested something much different than what I got, but they just sent me Howard again.
they really,
Yeah, he likes coming out here. I don't know why. But
well, yeah.
I'll get somebody different next time.
Well, let's see what Howard has to say about what's been going on over the Cleveland Skunk Works. Let's get this thing going.
Cleveland Skunk Works, Cleveland, Texas. After several weeks of apparent quiet on the shop floor, activity on the RV-8 project has continued, just not in a form that leaves aluminum shavings behind. The builder has been out of the country on a work assignment spanning Japan and Korea, placing hands-on construction on hold while travel took precedence. In the interim, the supply chain did not remain idle. New components arrived stateside, including a set of Sky Design's all-aluminum billet airfoil landing gear, along with static ports slated for conversion into battery ports and a collection of battery hold-down hardware. No installation has begun, but the inventory has grown. The more consequential work appears to have happened at cruising altitude. During the trip, significant time was spent researching avionics layouts and reassessing panel design choices. Several changes are now under consideration, including custom fabrication to accommodate revised panel sections, an indication that decisions previously thought settled are back under review. For now, the aircraft itself remains physically unchanged, though its future dashboard is less certain than it was a month ago. The project is stationary, but not static. Reporting from the Cleveland Skunk Works, this is Howard with the Experimental News Desk. This is The End.
Wow. Howard had a lot to say there. Sounds like you got a bunch of goodies while you were gone.
I did. I came home to a pile of stuff, and that was awesome. So actually, the gear legs showed up the day after I got back, which was perfect, so I didn't have to worry about them sitting down there because they're not cheap. But they are nice. So for those that don't know, I went by to visit Chris today to drop off that part for him, and I brought one of the gear legs with me to show and tell, because I know he's thinking about doing the same thing. And if you watched my previous video, anybody who's seen that has already seen them as well. They are very nice. They are beautifully machined. All airfoil gear legs. In the video, I said that I could feel they were lighter than the steel ones. I wasn't sure how much. I took them inside and stuck them on the bathroom scale. They are 4.5 pounds lighter per gear leg than the steel ones. And the steel ones still don't have fairings or brake lines or any of that other stuff on them, so it'll probably be another pound, maybe 2 more.
That's
weight savings,
about an hour of flight time.
Exactly. It's a few more cheeseburgers I can eat.
Yeah, that's
So,
for sure. Yeah, I mean, how many more?
If I make
boxes
the
of
plane go on
Pop-Tarts
a
can you
diet,
throw in the back seat.
I don't have to. That's right.
Yeah, those are nice.
So yeah, they look nice. Those gun drilled brake lines are pretty slick.
Yeah.
I looked at it after I came back. I didn't bring the parts with me, but they have some really fancy fittings that thread into those ports, and then there's a jam nut with an O-ring on it. So basically, you can clock it wherever you want.
Yeah.
and then tighten that thing down to seal it. And I thought that was kind of slick. So
Yeah.
really, really nice setup. So I'm happy to have those. I got, as he mentioned, some stuff from Aircraft Spruce. I bought a couple of pitot static ports that I had intended to convert to battery vents for the vented EarthX batteries. I got the battery hold downs that need to get installed for the EarthX batteries, as well as the 3/8-inch vent line that's going to be like the main trunk line that goes to the vent, and then it's got to split at some point and go to 1/4-inch lines to go to each battery. So the only actual work I got done today was I did modify those static ports. And by modify, I mean I drilled a hole in them.
Okay, so those are the 2 holes you drilled. You opened them up to 3/8.
I did. So here is the static port now with its 3/8 hole. This is what it looks like. You can see the jam nut where it goes on the skin. And then I 3D printed, you can see that, these little elbows. And those fit, if I can get it back in there. Of course not. Oh, there we go. That totally didn't hit the floor. Look, it's in there.
So did you just design those elbows today, or was that something that you had been working on while you were gone?
Nope. I did that today, printed them out. In fact, the iteration process here's the stack of rejects.
So I've never designed a part like that. Were you using Tinkercad for that part?
I was. So they actually, Tinkercad has a tube that you can go modify.
Okay.
If you go dig through their pre-made parts,
Yeah.
they have a bent tube already. You can adjust the angle of the bend, the size of the diameter, the wall thickness.
That's cool.
All of that. So I just went in there and kept making changes until I got it to fit exactly what I wanted.
Yeah.
I tried this with aluminum too, to make that tube, but to make that bend as tight as it is and keep it close to the skin, it ends up, about that tall.
Right.
And I wanted this to be subtle. So these are going to live on the belly of the plane. The tubing's going to go to it. The bend is only there just to keep it somewhat aerodynamic, and then I'm going to put some sort of a mesh or something in there to keep bugs from trying to make a home inside of it. But that's it.
Yeah.
So
I was thinking about.
next we'll be figuring out where to go.
I was just thinking about that. Whatever screen you put in there to keep the bugs from crawling up there and making a home. We talked before about like if those batteries do vent, they'll push out whatever screen you have in there or melt it or whatever. But just something occurred to me, having that thing in the Airstream sitting there static, it's actually going to create a little bit of vacuum on that thing. So it's possible that they can get sucked out sooner than you want them to. So maybe an iteration of your little thing, your little tube would have just a slightly narrowed section to capture on the end. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, so you can get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Put like a little tiny lip or something on it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That could work.
That's cool. I used so I did some work on the airplane today, which didn't seem like that was going to happen. But I did show you those spacers that I printed. I guess the video.
Oh yeah, I need the files for those.
Yeah,
Those are awesome.
The video for that build session, that hasn't come out yet, so none of you know what I'm talking about. But what I have been doing, you know what? Before I say another thing, I should probably, the experimental news desk, they sent somebody out to my place as well, but it wasn't Lucy, and it wasn't, I can't remember who it was the week before. I specifically said cute, and, well, this is what we ended up with.
Klaus Brenner reporting from the Gilbertson Aero Factory in Cut and Shoot, Texas. Officials at the Gilbertson Aero Factory report that the past 2 weeks have been devoted to wing control surfaces, an area where precision is required and confidence is optional. Builders successfully mounted the ailerons and worked through the delicate process of dialing them into a neutral position, a task described in build logs as straightforward, though witnesses noted prolonged staring and repeated measurement. Attention then shifted to the right flap, where officials undertook the high-stakes operation of match drilling it to the wing. Sources confirm the task followed several rounds of checking, rechecking, and checking again, largely to ensure that any mistakes would at least be intentional. The flap was ultimately drilled, aligned, and accepted with no immediate incidents reported. With major structural work complete, remaining wing tasks now include finishing the fiberglass wing tips, an effort that continues to resist optimism, and removing the fuel tanks for another round of testing. Officials emphasize that the tanks did hold fuel at one point, though not in the long term or in the manner originally envisioned. Repairs are planned. The wings are currently categorized as functionally assembled, pending fiberglass resolution and a renewed effort to convince fuel to remain where it is placed. Reporting from the Gilbertson Aero Factory, this is the Experimental News Desk. There has been a...
Okay, Klaus Brenner.
Wow.
Yeah, that's who I ended up with this week. That was I getting a lot of out-of-towners
Yeah.
out here
little
to these
bit.
parts to do some
It
reporting.
sounded a little persnickety there.
A little
but okay.
bit, a little bit.
So if I heard that right, then you have a flap drilled and
yes,
mounted now, right?
yeah, that happened. That happened today. So a moment ago when we were talking about 3D printing, it is very confusing to figure out. Well, I guess I should say this before any of this flap conversation. But since the last time we did a podcast, I got the aileron set in the neutral position, which is pretty easy, to be honest. We have in the kit, there's a little sort of jig, a little plate that you put in that will lock the aileron push tube, the bell crank in a specific position. And then from there, you can adjust the threaded rod ends of the bearings to get the exact dead-on perfect neutral position. We won't go into detail here, but it's not a very challenging process. And as I discovered, if you measure carefully when you initially put on those rod ends, I forget what it was, something like 23.5 inches or something like that. But if you measure very carefully, I found on both wings that the only adjustment I had to do was a 1/2 turn of the rod end to get it perfect. So literally a single adjustment that if you think about how it connects, you can only do a 1/2 turn at a time, or you cannot do any less than a 1/2 turn. So that was super simple, which made me a little nervous. I get nervous when something seems to come out right the first time. And so, but then once that is set, the next thing that you have to do, this is old hat for Tim, but the next thing you have to do is to mount the flap to the wing using the aileron in its neutral position as a reference. And two things have to happen. The trailing edges need to be in alignment, trailing edge of the flap, trailing edge of the aileron. And then the gap between the aileron and the flap needs to be 1/4 inch.
And by in alignment, you mean not just lined up with how they pivot, but vertically, or I guess forward and aft,
Yeah.
so that one doesn't stick
We'll
out
call
further
it
than the
vertically because most people are doing this with the wings in the cradle. So the wings are in a vertical orientation. In other words, the wings look like they are in a nosedive straight toward the ground. So the trailing edges are toward the ceiling. And so we want the aileron is all nice and secure now. We want to make sure that when we mount the flap, that trailing edge line continues all the way across the flap. And the only way you know they're separate is the 1/4 inch gap that we talked about between the two of them. But other than that, they're perfectly aligned. So here's the thing with mounting this, everybody has to face this, but there are thousands of these airplanes flying and everybody figured it out. But the way that the flap is mounted is you have a flap brace. It's a piece of aluminum that sits it comes at like a 45-degree angle off of that aft spar. It comes down, it attaches to that, and it attaches to the rear skin. So there's a row of rivets on the bottom skin. The very aft row of rivets connects to the flap brace and makes that thing just rigid. So the flap brace is now attached to the skin and to the aft spar. That's very solid. And then the piano hinge, the other half of the piano hinge from the flap, matches up to that. The problem, though, is that the piano hinge doesn't have any holes in it. We have to match drill it. So we have to use the holes that are in the skin and the flap brace to match drill the flap brace. And if you say it that way, it doesn't seem like a big deal. But the holes in the skin and the flap brace don't really want to line up with each other until you cleco every other hole, because that flap brace is springy. But
Right,
you
it's
can't,
under tension and trying to pull away. and
yeah,
it's not
it's under
connected.
tension. It's trying to separate, but you can't cleco it together, because if you cleco it together, then you can't put the piano hinge behind it to match drill. So it really is like it feels like a no-win sort of situation. The only thing that you can do is on either end of the flap, you can clamp the sandwich of material together and hope that you do a good job and that the flap brace doesn't continue to try to spring away. And once you have it clamped on there, then you check the alignment at what we will call the top, the trailing edge of the flap versus the aileron, and the 1/4 inch gap, and hope that it's all square and try to make adjustments. And you keep chasing your tail in that thing. So I know that when you did it, to ensure that 1/4 inch gap, you used a 1/4 inch drill bit, and you would check the gap with the drill bit, and you'd make adjustments. You come back and check the gap and check the gap. And I watched your video to see how you figured out the whole clamping situation. And I was watching something completely unrelated to aviation, but a guy was building something, and he said, yeah, I use these shims to keep this gap while I do this thing over here. I'm like, I should make some, I don't think, to me, shims are wedges, right? But I'm like, I should just print some spacers that I can put in between the aileron and the flap, but I need to make them in such a way that I can just set them there and they won't fall out. So I built I designed 1/4 inch spacers to be 3D printed, and then I designed these little tabs on them so that they would basically just be held in by gravity. Once you dropped it in between the two pieces, they would be trapped. And so it did two things. It maintained the gap, and it also perfectly aligned the control surfaces so that they were in perfect pivot alignment. All I had to worry about was the height alignment. And it was only, when you saw it today, Tim, the height alignment was pretty close. It was off by maybe a 64th of an inch, if that.
Yeah, it's pretty close. It looked good.
Now it's perfect. I adjusted it and I got it perfect. And I started drilling, nervous about how that would work out. And as I got toward the inboard end, that's where it was harder to keep that flap brace from springing away. And so I had to squeeze it like manually with my hand, like hold a flashlight in my mouth so I could look into that hole and make sure that the flap brace was, the holes were not misaligned with the skin holes. Came out great. One of them's
do
done.
it again on the infamous left flap.
Yes, the infamous left flap. But yeah, I'm really happy with how it turned out. I was nervous about doing that, but also as I was moving along and drilling all those holes, I realized this is an instance where if I mess it up, like if I'm like, oh man, I just brutalized it, like the alignment was completely off. The only thing that I actually would have messed up is just that piece of piano hinge.
Yeah, you would have misdrilled it, and you just had to get a new one and drill it
exactly,
again.
which I probably have one laying around anyways. So I'm like, the consequence on this one is pretty low. If you do have to order a new piece of piano hinge, it's just the shipping is expensive because it's in a long tube. But I'm like,
it definitely is.
Of the mistakes that I've made, this would be one of the least expensive had it been a mistake. But it worked out good, thankfully.
It's good to see it on there. You do have one more big thing to do on the wings, though, other than fiberglass work. You still have the whole bottom skins that need to go on.
Yeah, closing the door. I went back and forth. When Klaus was interviewing me, and I said, he's like, well, so what's the stage of the wings once this is done? And I explained to him, and he said, great. And then he filed his report. And I'm like, well, you forgot this. And so he go back in, but then the next report, he made it all about the fuel tanks. And after 3 times back and forth with Klaus, I'm like, say whatever the hell you want, man. Like, I'm just going to keep building this airplane. But I promise the wings will be done when they're done. I won't stop working on the wings because I'm at a stage that Klaus said that they were done.
There you go.
We'll see who I get to report next week.
The fiberglass will keep you busy for quite a while.
I believe
I was
so.
actually just looking at mine again today when I went back out there. I don't even know what made me look at it, but I know I hadn't completely finished, so it was like, where do I still have to do it? And the bottom gap of my wingtips on both wings.
Uh-huh.
I finished the top. I started fixing the gap on the bottom of one of them, but the other one still hurt just because I overcut the wingtips way back when I did it.
Yeah.
And I still need to go back and fix that one, and that's not going to happen anytime soon.
When you say the
I'll
bottom
get to
gap,
it
you
eventually,
mean
but-
like where the wing skin, like meaning the actual bottom, where the skin, where the wing skin would abut the
wingtip.
the fiberglass, or are you talking
Yeah.
about? Okay, yeah.
So I cut too much off of the wingtip when I put the hinge material on there. I didn't leave. I took too much away, and when I finally put the hinges back on, it left a visible gap, which you see me repair, I think, the tops really well. The tops look great. But the bottom on one of them, in one spot, it's almost like a 1/4 inch gap at one point. And I'm sitting there looking at it today like, it's on the bottom.
Can you?
I'll get to it when I get to it.
So what do you have to do? Do you have to have it separate, like just the wingtip removed and then build it up and then just start working it down until it fits again? Or can you leave it in place?
What I did last time, I left it in place and I filled it with a slightly thicker micro and epoxy mix.
Yeah.
And then I put tape on the aluminum side, so I didn't stick anything to the aluminum.
Okay, so you can
it would
fill it in place.
you can. It's fidgety, and you don't want to get any of it down in the hinge because
Right.
if it dries in there, that hinge isn't going to come off again. That was always my fear doing it, was if anything dripped down into the hinge, you may not get that pin back out and get the wingtip off. So
Is there
I was
anything
always
that you
pulling
can
them off before it
do
was fully cured.
to the hinge or the hinge pins, like
You can put wax on
like
it.
wax it and
Yeah, you can wax it.
yeah.
I did that, and I actually kind of regret it. I did put wax on the wing skin at one point because I was tired of taping, and I'm like, oh, I'll just put wax on this one wing skin. I'm going to regret that.
When it comes
I know
time
I'm
to
going to
paint.
regret it. Yeah, because now I have wax on there that every last bit of it has to come off, or that paint's never going to stick over there.
Yeah.
I'm just trying not to think about it. But
Speaking of things you don't want to think about when it comes time to paint, I showed you the condition of that bottom skin on the right wing.
oh yeah,
from sitting there.
You've got some major corrosion going on.
Yeah, I really don't think it is. I mean, I think that it's blotchy and so it looks bad. But I think that a pass running over it with something really light will take care of that. But then I need to protect the skin afterward.
Yeah, I mean, it'll probably come off during prep for paint.
Yeah.
Without a problem.
Yeah.
And then at that point, ideally, you'll just clean the skin off and then shoot it with some primer and
Right.
never worry about it again.
Yeah.
Because it'll be hidden.
It was disappointing when I saw it, but I also know that it's not really a big deal.
It's weird because I don't have any
Yeah.
that I've found yet.
So
it's not to
all
say it
of
doesn't exist,
all of
but-
those skins were on the bottom shelf, and I have that. I have the little carpet down on the bottom shelf, but that skin was the bottom of the stack, and so maybe it's been sitting down there for a year and a
Moisture
half.
from the
probably
air
since last time
soaking
it's
into that
moved.
carpet. And
Exactly. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that little carpet must have absorbed. I had a thought about carpet actually, because people often have thoughts about carpet, as one does. I've been watching Jeff and Paper Gary because he's dropped a whole bunch of video like in rapid succession.
he's been busy.
But he, I mean, he has the same kind of bench as we do, but it looks like he put down, it looks like AstroTurf, like green on his bench top.
I never even paid attention.
I kind of like it. Like, it looks cool. I like it. I'm like, dang. But I'm wondering, like, is it super
There's so
gritty
much
like-
stuff
Yeah.
packed into the carpet on mine now. I don't even think I could clean it if I wanted to
Yeah.
out of shavings. I probably just need to rip it off and put something else down because it's not doing what it was intended to anymore. If I slide a piece of aluminum across that thing, it's going to get all scratched up from all the shavings that are in there now.
Right. Just
I
slightly
saw somebody
less
made a
scratchy
comment
than the
about
actual, than the actual wooden top.
Yeah. I was watching, I think it's Average Joe, one of the new RV-15 build videos, and somebody made that comment on his where he's countersinking a hole over his carpeted bench, and they're like, yeah, you might not want to do that because the shavings will get in the carpet and eventually it'll scratch. And I'm sitting there looking at my bench like, yeah.
I've still got like another 20 feet of like rolled up carpet still left sitting on
there you go.
like on my shelves.
You're
I
good
could
to go.
replace all that if I wanted to, but it was a pain in the ass to cut it, to be honest.
I've only got, legitimately, I've only got 2 skins left that have to be dealt with.
Yeah.
And one of them's already pre-drilled. It's the turtle deck was already on, and part of that other stuff, it just has to go back on. The only other skin I've got left is the forward belly skin and the skin that's going to go over the forward section of like the boot cowl behind the engine cowl over the forward baggage area and all that. But that's it. There's no other skins, and there's no other skins coming.
Okay, I have a question for you. You got you got the gear that you were waiting on. You were pretty nervous during your trip that it wasn't gonna, like, they haven't had any updates. It hasn't shipped yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's there, and I know
is
that the reason you have it now, you thought you needed it later, and it turns out you need it now to progress on those forward belly skins.
Yep.
Have you, like in the day that you've been back, have you looked a little bit more about what needs to happen there? And I think the question, this is really what the question is, and I think it was a question that you had. You were wondering if once you fit the gear, can you take it back off again, or does it have to live there?
So I don't have an answer to the second one yet because I haven't looked.
Yeah.
I'm only home for a week. I leave in another week, and I'll be gone for another 2 weeks out to Edwards Air Force Base. So I'm in the middle of the floor skins, the floorboards, whatever you want to call them, from before. Mm-hmm. So I either have to finish what I started there before I can move back to the belly skins, which is probably the smart thing to do so I don't leave something undone in the middle. But also, I went and created more work for myself. Before I can put the belly skin on, I need to put the battery mounts in the baggage floor, because where those nut plates are going to go, I will no longer have access to them once the belly skin is on.
Yeah.
So that's probably what's going to happen this week is the battery mounts will get mounted. I'll try and finish up the floorboards, the 2 little access panels I've got left to do, plus the rest of the floorboards. If the weather cooperates, which I don't know that it's going to, but if it does and it gets warm enough, I can get the rest of the Cerakoting done on the floor pieces. I think somebody had asked if I do a video at some point showing what actually goes into the prep and Cerakoting stuff, so I might try and do a little more detail on that. But none of that leaves me time to do anything with the gear, so it's probably not going to happen until I get back again from the next trip. But I will look ahead sometime this week at the instructions and find out, is it going to stay on? Does it come back off? Because that's going to make some determinations as well. If the gear has to stay on once I put it on there, then I'm going to hold off on it and the belly skin for a little while, at least until I can get some wiring looms run in the airplane and some other stuff installed, make the most use I can out of it being in the rotisserie.
Yeah.
Because once that gear's on, the rotisserie is useless. It won't spin around.
And that's really the
ground.
point of the question is, are you gonna lose use of the rotisserie?
Definitely.
Because there's still a lot of stuff that needs to be done where that would be very nice to have.
Because I have done that. Because I can't help myself. I'm a big kid. I flipped the fuselage upside down, and I went and stuck one bolt through one of the gear legs just to see what it would look like.
Oh, you did?
There. I did.
Yeah.
And it's awesome. But clearly sticks out way too far. I would not be able to rotate it again.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's going to have to get dealt with.
I mean, it would be cool for the fuselage to be on its gear, but not as cool as a completed airplane would be. And if it had to live on its gear from now on, it would take a lot longer to get to that point that it was a completed airplane.
it is kind of scary too, because I mean, I haven't fully read the instructions yet. I have to go through them, but it's very evident. There's one hole and only one hole pre-drilled for the gear, and that's that very tip, which completely allows you to move the gear towed in or towed out.
Right.
And you have to drill the other two holes. So the potential for screwing up that alignment is so huge. So that'll be a little terrifying. But
Before I forget, this is a total aside, unrelated almost. When you're leaving today, I thought, is there something like that I wanted to give Tim before he left? I'm like, no, I don't think so. I mean, last time you were here, you grabbed that monitor for the garage. I'm like, I don't know what. And then sure enough, just randomly while I'm drilling holes in my airplane, I was like, oh, the hydrosonic cleaner. And I can't even remember what I suggested you use it for. Do you remember?
I don't remember. It's something I know I wanted to get for something.
Yeah, a
I
little
can't
small
remember
parts
what.
cleaner. I said, oh, I have a hydrosonic cleaner. What if you throw it in there? I have no idea what for. No.
Yeah, I don't remember either.
Yeah,
I'm sure it was terribly
circling back
important
to
at the
what
time.
we were just talking about. You said something. I haven't read the instructions yet, and that immediately triggered me. The topic of instructions. The topic of instructions, and I will start with the comedy that is the instructions for mounting the flaps in the RV-8. I read them. Well, I read the piece of the paper where it should be instructions for how to mount the flaps, and I'm like, all it talks about is there are two ways you can do your hinge pin. You can do a long one, or you can split it in the middle. And then I went back as I was trying to puzzle through. I guess we're on our own here. I guess at this point they're just like the instructions for the rest of the airplane is just build an airplane, period. And then I went back and I watched your video and I was trying to see how you clamped it together. And same thing, you're like, there are no instructions how to put this thing together. You are left to your own devices with that thing, which is kind of cool. It's a little bit funny. But then you and I both started watching really the biggest news show in town, which is something acres, but this guy built in Iowa building an RV-15. And those instructions are just ever so slightly more complete than the instructions I think that we're used to working with. Is that a fair statement?
Slightly's an interesting word.
At least,
but yes.
at least slightly.
At least,
at a minimum.
At least slightly more. Yeah. So, totally understand the rage the RV6 guys and RV4 guys from the past had towards us with match drilled holes and our newfangled plans and stuff. And then we started, looking at what the RV14 guys had for instructions, and we're like, man, these are really nice. And now the RV15 has come out, and it's like, you have got to be kidding me. They have like little cutaway views that shows exactly what orientation a freaking nut plate's supposed to go, or
there's one
they clearly
page.
highlight machine countersink these two particular holes.
Yeah.
And it's like, what the hell?
There in their instructions, and they're in color, and they use different colors and different shades of colors to illustrate the two pieces that are going together. But they're
So
like,
awesome.
if you have to mount nut plates, there's a page for one of them. There's an exploded diagram showing with arrows how that nut plate goes onto this piece. I think part of it is that just sort of the digital age that we live in right now, it's so easy, so much easier than it's ever been to create that in the volume that it is, and nobody has to print it out. You can just have it, and so producing it and publishing it is not a big deal. And our kits aren't. Well, I'll take that back. The RV-8's at least a 25-year-old design.
Yeah, it's getting up there now.
Yeah. So what we look at, like, it would require a complete overhaul of these plans, whereas this is a brand new airplane, brand new plans. This is how we do it now. But it is stunning
Yeah.
When I looked at the RV-14 guys, to be honest, I wasn't jealous of like the level of detail in the plans. What I was jealous of was like I just started making YouTube videos of my build, and these guys would throw up something from the plans. This is step that we're working on, and they would highlight it as a graphic. I'm like, how come I don't have those pictures? How come I can't? I'm like, I kept going back to the van's website. I must have downloaded the plans for the RV8 like 6 or 7 times, thinking I just missed something. And those file names are hard to read, so I went through and I looked at every drawing, every file name, relabeled the file name, and like surely as I go through this 117 drawings, most of which don't apply to my airplane, I'll find it. It's not a thing. So my jealousy for that was only just stupid, like wannabe content creator kind of stuff. Like I like that graphic.
Yeah, we don't have that.
Yeah.
We would have to take a screenshot of a section of just the plan sheet.
Yeah.
Which most of the time we're doing that, but it's just to show how confusing it is. Like you mentioned the flaps. Where does it tell you in the plans how long to cut that flap hinge material to?
Mm-hmm. I know it's 59.5 inches, but
yeah, and the only place you know that is one note on the plan sheet itself.
Yeah.
In one little obscure spot. It doesn't. I mean, the directions themselves tell you cut the hinge material, blah blah blah, per the plans. Really, we saved that much space? You couldn't tell me 59.25 inches right there, or
yeah.
Or the other thing is with the instructions, why don't they give you a grid reference to say it's on the plans in G4?
Nope. Yeah.
Cool. That narrowed it down.
Yeah, like it's a good example.
Anyway.
The control surfaces, you look at, we have a number of big drawings, and for the control surfaces, you look at a minimum 4 different drawings and try to cobble together the information of 4 different drawings to build that one piece, and then attach it, whatever. It is a little bit forensic in the way that you approach it. But like you said at the beginning of that, like the RV6 guys are like, you guys got it easy.
Yeah.
And so certainly.
But that's where having
yeah.
the network we have is helpful, because we can bounce these ideas like, hey, did you find this? Or
yeah.
where the hell is this at? Oh, yeah, I remember that was on this plan sheet, and it's this little tiny note right here. You know, do this or don't do that. So that's
yeah,
where
for
the
me, I
community,
think that it
nice,
is like, so using this specific example of mounting the flaps, all I know is the printed, like the text instructions don't exist. They literally, the only thing they talk about is something that we did a long time ago, which is make a decision about how we want the hinge pin to go. That's it. They don't talk. They say nothing. They just say, and there's even a bold header, mount the flaps, and then it talks about the hinge pin. That's it. But I know that the information is somewhere in here. It wasn't left out because these planes are flying around, and everybody didn't come up with a different way to mount them. There have to be dimensions or something. And so the only thing that I found, and I think it was the only thing that you found, or you found it on Van's Air Force. I did find it on one of the drawings. The only thing I found was it's a 1/4 inch gap between the aileron and the flap. That was it.
Yep. Yeah, it's not mentioned. It just happens to be on one of the plans.
Yeah.
It doesn't even tell you to make sure that you're minding the gap, but you have to mind the gap because it's important.
Yeah.
And I think the same thing happens later on when you do the wingtips. It's in the same kind of spot where it tells you you're supposed to have a certain gap between the aileron and the wingtip.
Yeah.
Same thing. I think it's still a 1/4 inch, but yeah.
A 1/4 inch, by the way.
A headache.
I'm glad that I made those spacers, because 1/4 inch is more than I thought. I probably would have made it.
When you see it on there, it's like that's huge. That's way more than I would have left if I was just eyeballing this.
Yeah, because when I was first putting them on there, kind of just eyeballing them, getting into position, and then I'll make a spacer or something like that. I had it much closer than that.
Yeah, I don't know if it's in my video, but if you see it, you'll definitely see me get the micrometer out and double check the 1/4 inch drill bit a few times. Like, Am I sure this is the right one? Because this seems
So now that it's
off.
mounted up, it's another, for me, it's another one of those instances of where the quality of the kit itself is very satisfying. Like when you put the top skins on the wings and you're like, everything is so tight and it just fits. And so you probably remember when you were first putting the flap in place, that leading edge of the flap that curls over and it kind of scrapes on the top skin right there. And then it's got that nose over part that bumps into the flap brace. And then once it's all drilled on and in the neutral position, held by my handy little spacer that I made that locks it into that neutral position, looking inside the end of the wing, you can see that the gap between, and then you pivot it, it doesn't touch that top skin at all. It's so close, but it doesn't touch it. And the front end of that rounded leading edge part, it's so close to the flap brace, but it does not touch it when it's in the neutral position. There's just like an 1/8 or 1/16 of an inch gap.
Yep.
It just fits.
It is a well-made kit.
Yeah.
It really is. I mean, just seeing it come together and be like, it kind of fits.
Yeah.
The plans suck, but it fits.
Oh man, I just can't imagine these guys, like these guys who did all this with jigs and just blank.
The rivet fans and having to come up with your own rivet spacing and match drill all the holes, and
Terrifying.
hats off to them.
Terrifying.
I guess the last thing I didn't really talk about, but I know Howard sort of reported it, was I have done a fair amount of real CAD work, and I say real CAD work.
yeah.
Somebody else
Yeah.
did the CAD work. I just was doing cut and paste for the most part. I did try to reverse engineer a panel. I am at wit's end with that. ChatGPT was, well, we're ready to fight right now because it was not being very helpful with my SolidWorks instructions. So while I was gone, I was doing what I always do and over-researching everything. And I started seeing more and more, I'll go with the word complaints, about the AV-30, which I'm going to use as a backup instrument. And several videos documenting that it has a nasty habit of getting disoriented when you put it in unusual attitudes, or not even that unusual, just aggressive attitudes. And it'll keep a turn when you're back in level flight or something like that.
That's scary.
And several people recommending that, maybe not the instrument you want to trust your life to if it comes down to it. And I know they keep doing updates to them and whatnot, but it got me thinking. Originally, I really wanted at some point to do 2 Dynon screens, because that allows you to completely share the screens. You can split processes between them. You know, one is engines, one is your PFD, whatever you want to do, but they're still independent. You can have an AdHars for both, so you got redundant sources of navigation or attitude and all the other stuff. But I didn't know if I'd be able to fit it, because I'm planning this around the big Mamma Jamma 12-inch Dynon screen, because I think it looks cool, and I'm old and I'm blind and I can't see crap without my glasses. So you go to Hanger Panel Builder, and the standard Vans panel is a 3-piece panel for the RV-8. The 2 little wing pieces are too small to mount pretty much anything in but switches. The center is fairly big, but not once you put a big screen in it. This was a panel that was obviously designed way back when you were using steam gauges and you still had room for a radio stack in your gauges and all that stuff. Times have changed. The panel needs to be updated. So I got a hold of the CAD model for that panel section of the cockpit, and then I started importing the CAD models from the avionics companies, the 12-inch screen, the GPS unit I'm going to use, the radio stack, things like that. And I could actually put them in the space of the panel to see if they would fit. And surprisingly, I found out that I can fit the 7-inch Dynon screen next to my 12-inch with the way I'm going to redesign the panel. So when I got home, I got into SolidWorks the other day and started fighting with chat on how to do it. I was able to do what I wanted to do. I can actually bring it up if we do screen share.
Yeah, do it.
But you can see it's cool because in this file you can get from, let me go see, share, entire screen, sure, share. Okay. Can you see that?
Oh yeah, that's very
Okay.
Yeah.
So this whole assembly you can download from Vans on their website, and then you can go download the individual components from Dynon, Garmin, all that good stuff. And what it does is you can place these in here, you can orient them, but more importantly, you can see the 7-inch screen right here. So the original wing panel, I can click on it, you can see it,
Okay,
goes
yeah.
right here. For this to work, I need to redesign these so that this edge is now right there, and the center becomes smaller. So that's what I'm working on now. I'm trying to get these redesigned so I can try like send cut send or something like that to get these remade in the size I need. But if you look at the backside, which is the cool thing about these models, you can orient these and see just how it's going to interfere. And look right there.
Oh, right.
I can move this over just enough to clear the structure underneath and still have room.
For those of you who are committed to only listening to this podcast, you're missing out. This is pretty cool. So Tim is got this model of the RV-8 panel, and it's not just the panel, but it's the structure around it that's loaded in, and he can model everything with it and make adjustments on the fly. Dang, that's really cool.
Yeah. So here's the side panel that needs to change.
Yeah.
Both sides. And it needs to be brought out roughly to here, which should be easy enough to do. I could just get some raw aluminum and probably force it and just use this as a template and make it, but I want to try and do something a little nicer.
Yeah.
So, but by doing that, I will be able to fit my big screen in the middle. Let's see if I can unisolate this. If I can figure out where it went. My big screen in the middle, and I don't even know where it went now. All right, we'll just stop sharing. Anyways, I'll be able to fit the big screen in the middle, and I'll have plenty of room real estate-wise on those new side panels to fit a radio stack on one side,
Yeah.
the small screen on the other side. And because the screen's so big, and I can still pull the panel out, and I have that access panel behind it, plenty of room to get behind the panel and do any maintenance that's going to need to be done later on. So that was the other thing I've done, even though I haven't made any progress on the plane.
That looks really cool, and that the tool, the ability to pull that out and look at it all around and see any potential interference. That's cool. So,
Yeah.
I mean, you've done a number of kind of flip-flops decisions and mods and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's not done being modified.
Yeah, but I think
nothing's
that
done until it's in the
I think
plane.
that for you, that is a big part of the fun of the whole thing.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. It's like, it's the grown boy version of, girls and their Barbie dolls and accessorizing them when,
Yeah.
when you're little.
Yeah.
I'm accessorizing my plane.
Hey, we were talking a minute ago about Jeff and Paper Gary.
Yep.
There are some things I really like about his channel. And one of them, we talked about a little bit today, but one of them I didn't mention. His intro, the little short, like the multicolor bars come in from the side and the little guitar riff.
Mm-hmm.
For me, there's something about it. It is so like 90s, kind of like Saved by the Bell thing. Like every time I hear it, I'm like, I'm ready. Like I'm in. A good intro
That's
gets
funny.
me. Your music for your intro is really good. I always like that, but I like his. He's got his own style, and I like watching kind of the evolution that you and I went through, and every builder / YouTuber does. Like you kind of find your thing, what makes yours, and Jeff is definitely getting his kind of rhythm and the way that he presents it and stuff like that. So it's fun for me. I'm really starting to enjoy watching his channel. But one of my favorite things.
It's important to get it and keep it there too.
One of my favorite things was you got stuff from Clemson Aeronautic way back, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
And
a couple of years ago.
And then recently, like through you, Hisham reached out to me and wanted to send me some stuff to try out. I said, sure, absolutely. Like I'm into it because I see the tools that you're using and I'm interested in some of them. And so he sent it to me, and I thought, oh, well, I will do an unboxing video. And I started to unbox one thing. I was like, holy crap. Like, this is really difficult to get into this box. He uses so much glue. It's like the box no longer has any seams. It is a single piece of something. And so I'm like, I wrestled through it. I'm like, I'm not making a video about that. But what I loved was Hisham reached out to Jeff because he wanted to send him, especially for Dimpling, he wanted to send him some stuff. And Jeff did the unboxing on camera, and to me it was gold. Like, just trying to get through that thing. Like,
I remember you were like, am I being punked right now?
I know, dude. It was like, you can't, like, it is once Hisham, like, nobody's gonna break into that stuff and steal it. It's not gonna get damaged. It's really heavy steel to begin with, but it's gonna show up in.
It's going to be in that box.
It's going to be in that box.
That
I get it
homogeneous
too,
chunk
because
of
I think
glue,
you
the
know that,
cardboard.
like, for years I was a UPS guy. I see stuff just falling apart, man. People who just, like, flimsy box, no packaging, throw something heavy in it, one piece of tape, it goes. This is the complete opposite of that. So I loved that. Like, Jeff didn't give up on, like, he didn't go like, hey, let me just stop the cameras and come back to this. He just he let you go through it. It was great.
Sometimes it's important to bring the audience along and let them suffer with you.
I will say something about his shop and your shop, and I know that he's a huge fan of your channel and he follows a lot of what you do. Both of you guys have your very versatile workbenches pressed against the wall, and they stay permanently against the wall.
Yeah.
And I love that my tables are always, like, on the move. Not a million, really. There are probably only 16 total configurations you could do, but it seems like a million. But just the ability to walk around and work on both sides of the thing without having to constantly flip the material over. I like that. You have the space.
I wish
to
I
do
had
it.
2 more benches to do that very thing.
Yeah.
Because the problem is I use them for normal benches for regular stuff that has to live there all the time. So
Right.
it's a pain to pull them out.
Yeah, once you
live there.
committed them to the wall and you started using them that way,
Yeah.
that just became the way that it is. But one thing
I do love that you can move yours out. And
Yeah. I did send Jeff a note, and we got to wrap it up here. That was my alarm going off saying that we're going to go over time.
Uh-oh.
Oh, was it? Did I set 2 timers? I need to put my
I think
goggles back
it's
on.
probably been about an hour.
Yeah, we're right there. So we got to go. I did send him a note, though, because he did something that we all come across, which is suddenly the bench is too high. Once you're trying to reach down into in his case, the horizontal stabilizer. So then he put it on the floor so he could reach in there, but then that's kind of painful on the back. Go get, I sent him a link from Harbor Freight, like the little work platform, like the 48-inch wide.
Yeah, the one that I'm using now.
Those things are great, man. Totally worth it. So
because
much
I did the
use.
same progression. I had to go to the floor for that thing, and it sucked. And then I got the work platform, and it's the right height to set stuff on and reach in there and not be on your hands and knees on the damn floor.
And before I did that, I would use a step stool. But like when I was in the step stool, get down, move it, get down, move it. Just get the 48-inch work platform because you'll use it for so much more than just your airplane.
Oh, it works great for fuel tanks.
Yeah.
It works great for fuel tanks, which unfortunately we don't get to spend $500 to have them made for us.
Oh man, that is crazy. We'll just close.
I'll save
with
that
this
for
thought.
next time.
Yeah, that what unbelievable $500 was the upcharge for pre-built fuel tanks in the RV-15s. That's crazy. I might just buy some and just force them to fit on my RV-8.
Duct tape them onto the RV-8
Yeah,
and call it good.
yeah. It'll look like I have leading edge devices on the inboard portion of my wings.
There you go.
That's crazy. But okay, this has been episode 16
All right, yeah.
of what I'm sure will be more than 16 episodes of We Are Not Experts, an airplane building podcast. I'm Chris,
I'm Tim.
and we'll see you on the next one.
See you on the next one.
See ya.
That concludes this episode of We Are Not Experts. If you've learned something, disagreed loudly, or spotted a mistake, do let us know. Feedback is encouraged, mockery is expected. Subscribe wherever you're listening so you don't miss the next episode, and share this with someone who also enjoys watching grown adults argue with aluminum. Until next time, Nigel, out.